All right, let's talk about other free agency signings. Kevin Dotson. Shout out to our boy Kevin Dotson. First off,
Yeah.
let me say two things. Kevin Dotson, good dude, super good dude. One of the nicest guys in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room when he was there. Super helpful to the media. Just an all-around good teammate. Always pleasant to speak to. Didn't really work out in the city of Pittsburgh. Goes to LA, traded for a fourth and a fifth round pick. But, I mean, the Steelers, you look at that trade and you kind of forget that the Steelers also gave up a fifth and a sixth round pick. So, essentially, didn't get much at all for Kevin Dotson. He goes to LA. One season in LA, he earns a 3-year, $48 million deal with $32 million guaranteed. Shout out him. He had the greatest tweet of all time, sending out, "My girl is a doctor." And I was like, wow, dude, this guy's a savage. I love him. A cautionary tale for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at this and say he didn't work out in Pittsburgh. Everybody knows there were a ton of penalties, just can never get seemingly the mental side of it down when it came to the adjustment from the right side to the left side in Pittsburgh from college. Goes to LA, goes back to the right side, explodes, becomes this big giant thing. You look at the Steelers' offensive line. James Daniels has changed positions in Pittsburgh. Broderick Jones has changed positions in Pittsburgh. Dan Moore Jr. has changed positions in Pittsburgh. Kendrick Green, who had a little bit of success in Houston, changed positions in Pittsburgh. None of these guys have had the ceiling that I think the Steelers were hoping for. Kevin Dotson kind of proves, hey, dude, if you put me in the right scheme and allow me to play the right position, I am pretty good. You think the Steelers should kind of look at this and say, maybe we should stop messing around with what side of the line offensive linemen play on? And do you think it's a direct shot to say, do not mess up Broderick Jones because this is what could happen?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I look at especially not just Dotson, but you brought up Kendrick Green too, and like the fact that he was even serviceable and he was actually pretty good in Houston. The fact that those two guys leave Pittsburgh and immediately become not just capable, but like actually pretty good, like above average. That's a little concerning. Like that's like I'm not watching their offensive line practice every day, but like what are we doing? You know, like why are these guys able to figure it out in two completely different places? It's not like they both went to, followed some great offensive line coach and they're getting, the best coaching ever and this is a unique situation. It's two different places that these two guys have thrived in. So I'm a little concerned. I do kind of take it as a bit of a cautionary tale, I guess, but more just have some urgency in getting Broderick Jones to his natural position. It seems like right now it's just like, oh, well, he's fine at right tackle, so we'll just leave him there. And I don't know if fine should be your bar, like you've upgraded a bunch of other positions on the offensive line, and like I think Dan Moore is fine, but we're at the point with the Steelers, and we've talked about it with the quarterback situation. And I think you got to apply it to the rest of the roster too, where fine isn't good enough. Like we're at fine, and we're trying to get better than fine. So you gotta find those small ways to upgrade everything. And I think one of those small ways is that you get Broderick Jones into the position that he actually plays, which is left tackle. And Omar Khan has said this guy's a left tackle. He's going to be a left tackle soon, but like, how soon is that? Like how soon are we actually going to put this move into place? That's my big question.
I agree. I 100% agree. You have a top tier talent, a dude that you have a lot of faith in, that you view as your franchise left tackle, and he's playing right tackle, and he could play another season of right tackle, and that's very concerning. Like, don't wait around. Don't wait for this guy to struggle, because it's not like Broderick Jones was like the greatest right tackle in the world last year. He had his mistakes. He had really bad block attempts. There were moments where you were like, okay, Broderick Jones he's obviously an upgrade over Chuks Okorafor, but he's not the bar or the superstar that I think his bar or his ceiling could get him to. And I don't think he's going to get there at right tackle. And you can't mess around with that. You can't look at it and say, this dude could play wherever we put him because he's an offensive lineman. It is the hardest position. The offensive line is the hardest position to switch sides at, hands down. There, you could go anywhere else on a football field and try to figure it out. But you go to the offensive line and you switch sides, it's like trying to throw a football with your left hand. It's not going to happen naturally. They might be able to adjust a bit better than most positions, but you got to be better than that. And I think the Steelers have this crazy notion where they're just like even with the Nate Herbig thing and the James Daniels thing, it's like, well, we have center capable guys. Why not just go get a center? Why not just go get somebody who plays center? Why not have
someone
guards?
Whose job it is to do this? Yeah,
exactly. Like there are guys have played one position for years and they've become so good at it that they're in the NFL. They have become so gifted at that one position that they have made it to the highest level of that position. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers have this thing where they go, yeah, we can move them. That's, it's no big deal. We'll just start them from scratch and they'll figure it out. And then a couple of years in, because that's the thing with Broderick Jones, is the longer you keep him at right tackle, the more comfortable he's going to get at right tackle. Then you're going to switch him to the left side and say, hey, hope this works out. Hope you could adjust back to the left side of the offensive line after you completely switched your brain to play right tackle. It is the worst idea. And Kevin Dotson is a prime example of why you cannot do it anymore.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you spent your first 3 years learning right tackle. You know how tough that was your first 3 years in the league.
Yeah.
You want to do it all over again on the left side? Like, yeah, doesn't make any sense to me. I think there needs to be a real kind of sense of urgency about it.
Yes.
Like not a this is something we can do down the line. It's got to happen pretty immediately, which throws off a little bit my notion that they are going to reach for a corner or a center in the first round of the NFL draft. Like, I think the easiest solution is for them to draft a guy that is capable of playing right tackle so that Broderick can move over. But who knows? Like, who knows who's going to fall? Like, who's going to be available? I don't know. It's because that's the thing. I think you also have to have a solution at right tackle. And
yes.
I don't know. Is Dan Moore your solution at right tackle? Like,
no,
he
was terrible at right tackle last year.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't. You got to find something. You got to find a solution, and you got to find someone who's ready to go right away.
I agree. You cannot mess around. I'd be comfortable, and I think Steelers fans should be comfortable too. If the Pittsburgh Steelers took a right tackle, true-blooded, Mims, Latham, 20th pick overall, you should look at it not as they passed up a center or they passed up a corner. You should look at it more as they may have just saved Broderick Jones from being mediocre. And that's good. That's what you're looking for. Get guys in their natural position. Stop messing around. Stop trying to produce Kevin Dotsons. And because that's the thing, dude. Kevin Dotson, his rookie year, played a lot of right guard. Looked really good. So good that people were talking about how he should start as a rookie. And then his second season in the NFL, they were like, all right, well, we need a left guard, so you're playing left guard. And then all the problems started. And everybody just kept saying, dude, he's a right guard. He's a right guard. It's not that easy. And I think the Steelers have to learn from this and view it and say, they'll come up with some excuse, you know what I mean? Or they'll completely ignore it. But they should look at it and say, we cannot mess this up twice. And hopefully they use it as a cautionary tale. I don't think that they will. But if you're a Steelers fan, you should be pushing for them to not mess it up again with some younger guys and just let it be. Nate Herbig included. Stop messing with just, let him play guard. Isaac Seumalo's 30 years old, about to be 31 years old. You don't know how long you got him for. If Nate Herbig's your next guard because he's only 25 years old, don't move him to center and then move him back to guard. Just let him produce as a guard and let him learn there.
Yeah, I think versatility is something that you hear college coaches talk a lot about and something that they value in guys.
College coaches and Mike Tomlin. Nobody talks about it more than college coaches and Mike Tomlin.
And I feel like at the NFL level, I don't know, we don't really do this with wide receivers. We don't really do this with, I don't even know what a comparable position, linebackers or safeties or corners. This kind of same thing doesn't really happen. Or defensive linemen, doesn't happen at any other position. But for some reason, we think offensive linemen, once they get to the NFL, once they've played a certain position for years and years and years, mastered their craft in a certain sense, that they can just move around and it'll be exactly the same. That stuff doesn't happen. Just doesn't happen even for the best players.
That's funny because it's true. Guys move to so many positions at so many different positions in college. The one position that does not change positions ever in college are the offensive linemen. And then they get to Pittsburgh and it's like, all right, man, Nick Herbig is only an edge rusher. He's never going to play off-ball linebacker. But Broderick Jones, man, we might switch. We might just see where he works. We're just going to test them all and see what position is best. It's not the way to go about it. It's definitely not the way to go about it. Hopefully they use it as cautionary tale. We'll see.